So today's reading made me think a lot about our snowpocalypse and what had happened. And particularly on Friday, that beautiful Friday afternoon, I got out into my garden to finally see what had died from being frozen, because I didn't get everything covered up with sheets and blankets and things. And I had this one particular vine that was out my kitchen window that I had watched. I had purchased it last spring, and by fall it was taking over the fence. It was beautiful, and I had anticipated this new year, this thing would just keep spreading and spreading, and I would enjoy its gorgeous flowers. And on Friday, I cut all of the dead stems off and I pulled the root ball because I had to admit that it was dead. And it was really hard because I just kept thinking of the beautiful fall purple flowers that I love so much. But what I was doing in that process was pulling the plant up is my kids and I had just bought a composter, one of the crank kind of composters. So I was taking that brown stuff, the dead plant, and putting it in the composter to become new soil for the plants that I will buy maybe next week or the week after to have a garden this year. That is death and life to me. That little being out there in the garden and looking at all the things that have died through the snow and the ice. We mourn them. We have memories of them. I have an aloe plant that a dear friend gave me that I put in the ground and I forgot to cover up even a little bit. And so aloe on snow becomes glop, I found out. Pretty nasty smelling glop at that. So that went in the composter too. And I'm trusting that the soil that will be produced from the compost that we have will make beautiful plants, and I can go back to my friend and ask for another cutting of that aloe plant. And this time I'll put it in a pot and not the ground so I can bring it in case something else happens. Jesus today says something very interesting. He says, what am I supposed to say? God, don't make me do this? Or should I say, Father, glorify your name? That's a question. We get to choose, as Jesus did. Does Jesus say, oh, don't make me do this? No, he says, I do this to glorify you. He went on to say, I know that if I do this being dying on the cross or whatever was coming for him that we know was dying on the cross, that he's doing it not just for himself, but for everyone. Jesus is saying, I am letting go of my human self so that God can do greater things with me. During this Lenten season this year, particularly, we've been focusing on going in and coming out, using the labyrinth as our metaphor. And right now, as we're headed toward Holy Week, and we were talking about seeds and letting things die so that new life can come, I invite you to take a moment to think about the things that you have been holding on to, the things that have been getting in your way, the things that keep you from being the person that God fully called you to be. To ask yourself, am I ready to let these things go? Can I say, God, glorify yourself in me? Now, what I mean by that, those things like anger, frustration, self-righteousness, justification, prejudice, wounds, old family wounds. Our wants, our needs for control, our need for money, our need for love, our desires, all those things that have become habits that get in the way of God being glorified in us. Especially things like hurts. And hurts that happen in the church are particularly ones I ask you to possibly reflect on today. If you've been hurt by something that happened here at St. Martin's or at another time in your life in your church, can you let go of it? Can you say, God, I want to glorify you more than hold on to this hurt and anger? Because see, hurts cause us to close up, to protect ourselves, to be defensive, to put our elbow up when someone gets in close. It makes sense. If we've got a bruise, we want to make sure we don't get hit on that bruise again. But when the bruise is healed, but we still protect ourselves, we end up being injured more. I'm reminded of those who, and you who have experience with knee replacements know this, that if you put too much effort on, for example, if you have your right knee replaced, so you put your effort on your left knee to protect your right, you end up hurting your left knee. So we can injure ourselves when we're protecting ourselves. So when Jesus says the seed has to die for new life to form, he's talking to us about letting those things die that have just been there. I know for me, I had the story, and I still kind of have the story of I'm number 5 of 7 kids, and nobody even notices my birthday. And it's true. My family, my kids know this story of me. And I have let that story spin in me that my family didn't love me because they couldn't remember my birthday was in October. That was my natal family. Yet they remembered, but I told that story to myself for many years to be angry at my family. And with the help of loving people like my spiritual director, it was like, that wound needs to go, Ellen. Your family's pretty awesome if you just let them be awesome. And that was a work I had to do. When we're hurt by things that happen, we aren't living fully into what God calls us to be. That's the seed that needs to be let die so it can flourish and grow. Unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains just a single grain. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. Those who love their life lose it, and those who hate their life in this world will keep it for eternal life. God asks us to let unhealthy things die so that healthy ones can live. That means here at St. Martin's, as we are anticipating coming back together, I invite you to think about what you really want to keep, what you want to have live here at St. Martin's. In fact, why not think of 10 things that you want to live and support and have grow and flourish here? That's your homework for the week. And also, personally, if you realize that you need help to let go of the hurts, the bruises, the brokenness that you have experienced in your life. Reach out for help. I am here for you. I am your pastor. Please call me. We have Stephen ministers here who will walk with you as you go through the healing process. You don't have to be alone. If you're dealing with something like addiction in the family, reach out to Al-Anon. If you're dealing with addiction to alcohol or drugs, AA and NA are there. If you need help finding them, I will help you. Please, and everything is completely confidential. God is calling you to let the seed die so that life can come new. We've gone into this space and time, this crazy year of COVID, and we're coming out now. Let us come out healthy and fresh, prepared to plant new seeds, prepared to nurture what we have, prepared to be everything that God has called us to be. That is what we're doing. May God be with you this week, and know that all of you are in my prayers.